We are now just single-digit days away from these next-generation consoles, and as we inch closer and closer towards launch day, I feel the PS5 will provide the next-generation experience on day one. This isn't to say that the Xbox Series X isn't giving off some of those same vibes, but by far and away I feel more excitement towards the PS5 for this upcoming launch. This video is my way of explaining how I came to that conclusion, and I'm very curious to know if you all agree with me. New generations have typically started with new hardware, a new controller, and new and exciting games that show off the power and features of the new console. I can confidently say that the PS5 hits the mark on all three of those next generation features. So without further ado, this is why I feel the PS5 is a true leap forwards into next generation. Let's get into it. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to please hit the subscribe, notification, and like buttons as we get ready to dive into today's video. I really can't stress how much hitting those three buttons really helps the channel. Let's start with the completely redesigned DualSense controller. First, I'd like to bring everyone back to their fondest memories of when they brought home their first, or any for that matter, next generation console. That new out-of-the-box electronic smell filled the room as you took your new console and your new controller out to use for the very first time. The controller was my first go-to, as I feel it's the steering wheel to your next generation experience. In the case of the DualSense, I was very lucky to get my hands on this new tech, as our pre-orders started showing up as of late last week. I haven't had the opportunity, like many in the media, to experience the new haptics or audio features built into the controller, because I don't have the PS5 or any new PS5 games using this technology. But what I can say is how well crafted this new controller feels, and how this controller will finally be a serious competitor to the Xbox controller. After all these years where I felt the Xbox had the advantage, seems Sony thought this design out. They captured many of the things that gamers have been asking for when it comes to their controller, and then some. Let's start with the actual size and weight. Take into consideration the DualShock 4 and how that controller felt more toy-like versus the DualSense, and how it now has a presence in your hands as it stands out as a prominent piece of technology. The bumpers are larger and feel more responsive. The touchpad has been enlarged and gives more surface area, allowing the user to feel more comfortable using it in gameplay, as well as also giving the developers more reason to use this option. Sony even made the grips using their signature circle, square, triangle, and X to show that they put every bit of thought into this design. But the true next generational leap comes in the form of the haptic feedback on the L2 and R2 triggers. It's been said that when you feel it working, you'll immediately begin to think how and where this specific feature could be implemented, and just how much of a game changer this could be moving forward. It does need to be said that all of this with the haptic feedbacks depends heavily on whether or not the third-party developers are willing to use this tech in their upcoming games. But unlike past generations where devs left other types of new tech cut on the editing room floor, I feel that gamers, influencers, and media are all clamoring for this to be used, and that alone may be enough to spark the third-party teams to use it early in the generation to see how the audience reacts to it. Sony knew that just putting this tech in the controller without an example would already be doing damage to this technology. So what did they do? Well, they had their first-party studio create a game that fully introduced these features within the DualSense, and introduced Astro's Playroom. This is a free game that is pre-downloaded on every PS5 console. Some examples that early reviewers couldn't stop talking about included the compression and resistance felt in the trigger that gave a spring-like feel as you were asked to pogo or catapult from one platform to another. That instant and gratifying feeling within the controller creates a sense of not only you controlling the game, but enhances the immersion of you feeling as if you're actually in the game. These are words we always use to excite gamers, being immersed within the game. But now you can feel what your character is feeling, whether that be the resistance on the triggers or the subtle way that Sony has been able to make you feel whether you're walking on ice, sand, or a rocky path. This level of immersion has yet to be experienced by gamers, and I think as more use it, and the more enjoy it, the more third-party developers will utilize this tech into their games. Of course, like anything in these days, you have options, and this is no different. If for some reason the haptics bother you, or it's something you don't enjoy, you can feel free to shut it off at any point and play your game as you feel fit. As if all that wasn't enough, I personally love this next new tech Sony included in their DualSense controller. That is none other than the speaker and microphone capabilities. The speaker is nothing new to PlayStation fans, as the DualShock 4 already has this feature. But the built-in microphone is something that I think most will overlook at launch, and by the middle of this generation, will be wondering how they lived without it. First, let's discuss the speaker. Even if you go back to a very popular game and one of Mooch's favorites of all time, The Last of Us, you can remember as you picked up recordings and hit play, that the stories of the survivors, prior to becoming infected, would read their audio logs to you through the speaker. Days Gone also used this feature. I for one thought this was a true game changer. No offense, but I want a game, not read 10 pages of notes in a journal entry from an infected soldier in Days Gone. The speaker allowed me to play and search the area while listening to voice actors portray the horror they had experienced during the zombie apocalypse. It's that level of immersion that gets gamers into the story and wanting to find more recordings. Because unlike past experiences, this time I get to hear the actors portray that level of uncertainty of survival in their voices that places me right into the scene and gets my imagination kicking into high gear. The microphone, on the other hand, will have a different capability and different way to bring the gamer closer to the experience. The now infamous scene of one influencer blowing into the controller wasn't the new and exciting part of this feature that got me excited, but rather the ability to have a conversation with a friend when not playing a 3D audio intensive game. This has my interest piqued. There are times that you're playing a game where the sound isn't necessarily as important as other games, where you need to listen to every footstep and every door that becomes ajar. For example, racing games. If I'm just trying to outdo my own time trials on a course, or better one of my friend's times, I could easily be having a conversation with a friend while in party chat, while gaming. Between earbuds, headsets for gaming, headsets for podcasting, headsets for working out, there are times you don't want to wear a headset. And this tech gives that option. Even if you use it once a week, it's nice to have. I've been in a party chat with friends where we're deciding what to play, or just having a conversation. Now you don't need to locate your headset or put one on to have a simple conversation before you start your game. This seems so simplistic, but again, I think it's something that will feel is something that should have been there all along. Time will tell, of course, but it just feels good knowing the option is there. Well, I think I covered the controller enough, so at the very least it gives you a better idea of what to expect and how it's a monumental leap over the DualShock 4. Let's talk about the launch games for the PlayStation 5. Some may have started with this, but because I personally have always felt a new controller to be the newest part of the next generation, I just had to get into the DualSense first. But the games. The main reason you upgrade, right? Well, you'd think so anyway. Oddly enough, the ability to have new games at launch isn't a big deal for some, as I'm finding out. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a major reason for your upgrade. The PlayStation 5 is launching with first-party exclusive games that for some, including me, are a must experience. Let's start with the games that are exclusive to the PS5. Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls has a very strong following and has emerged as a game some would call a console seller. When this game originally released on the PS3, it didn't have the audience nor the lure to capture the amount of gamers it will today. Demon's Souls, after all, is the game that started the Souls series. Sony owns the IP and hired Bluepoint Games, one of the best talents in the business, to recreate this game from the ground up, utilizing the power of the PS5. This game is exclusive to PlayStation 5, for now, and has me pumped to play this on day one. PlayStation also went out and got a timed exclusive in the name of Godfall. Godfall is an upcoming action role-playing game developed by Counterplay Games and published by Gearbox. This game has mixed feelings from gamers, but rightfully so. It's a new IP, and no one is truly familiar with it yet. But again, we're talking about the excitement of next generation, right? And with that excitement also comes new IP that can become legendary or it could flop. But for us gamers, more important than if it becomes a classic or not, it's about the excitement and the experience while taking home a new next generation console. Again, at least for me it is. Think about it for a minute. When was the last time you took a new console home at launch and not had a new game from that platform to play and experience the new hardware. I can't remember one console that fits that narrative. But back to the games. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and the remastered version of the hit Spider-Man game from 2018. Miles Morales alone will sell millions of PlayStation 5s, regardless of the criticism surrounding this title, due to it being available on the PS4 as well. This game is probably the main reason I'm buying a PS5 on day one. It's kind of a toss-up between Miles Morales and Demon's Souls, honestly. But in addition to those games, you have Bugsnax, Astro's Playroom, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and The Pathless. These are games that will be available on PS5 and not on competing platforms, either at all or not for a while, as Sony has locked down timed exclusives for some titles at launch. Backwards compatibility has become a set of buzzwords, and I think it adds to the excitement of next generation as well. I do want to clarify though, just as if you were to buy a new house, you should have the right to bring your old couch along with you from your prior home. The same applies to games as we go from one generation to the next. But let's be honest, the true excitement of moving into a new home is that you went from Formica countertops to a brand new granite countertop with a massive island and your new next generation kitchen. You aren't bragging to your friends that your old couch you brought over works well with the paint colors in your new living room, right? It's about what's new, exciting, and experiencing the unknowns in life as you upgrade, whether it's a new house with granite countertops or a new console with new games and features. That being said, I think PlayStation and Xbox are doing amazing things with backwards compatibility, and rightfully so. We bought these games, and they should follow us as we move forward. You just don't find me as excited about that old couch that matches the drapes in the new living room as I am about new granite countertops. New consoles call for new games and experiences. Maybe I'm too much of a traditionalist, but that's how I feel as we move into next generation. This video is a glimpse into what we can expect and what you should expect from a next generation console launch. We are so close to these consoles releasing, and I for one can't wait. It's that time to trade in your old consoles and get ready for the new adventures that await us. But as I stated earlier in the video, I truly feel that the PlayStation 5 is giving us that next generation experience on day one. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I look forward to your thoughts as we move into next generation. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and like button before you leave. We are closing in on 10,000 subscribers, and your subscription to this channel is much appreciated. Also check out the Crossfire podcast we do Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, as well as M&C show on Sunday mornings. Looking forward to catching you all in the next video. Thank you.